So I do not know what's going on in the ATP. I just don't have the bandwidth. So, wish them luck.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Body Serve. I'm Jonathan.
I'm James.
TBS 401. We're into our 5th century. We're going for Brian Lara's first class record.
Which was
501 not out.
Oh my god. I was definitely not going to say that.
What were you going to say?
He made like 433 or something.
No. First, he made 375 in the summer of 94 in a test match in Antigua against England. And then he went a couple days later, I think, to county cricket in England and made 501 not out for Warwickshire. So he had those two massive scores. It's a different type of scorekeeping. It doesn't count for test cricket. It counts for his first class record.
Okay.
Then Matthew Hayden went and broke his record in 2004. And a few weeks after that, he went and took it back on the same ground in Antigua and scored 400.
That's the test record?
That's the test record. 400, yes.
Sachin never passed it.
Sachin struggled to get past 200 consistently.
Really?
Yes.
The more you know.
The ATP season is done. There's still Billie Jean King Cup going on this week. There's Davis Cup about to start. But the tour is done on both sides. Tennis is over for 2025.
Is it ever really over? Jannik Sinner repeats as champion of the ATP Finals. He's done it twice in a row without losing a set. He beat Alcaraz 7-6, 7-5 in this final. 16th matchup of their very young careers.
Carlos still has the head-to-head lead. He's won the majority of them in the last year and a half or so. They've split the big titles at the slams over the last 2 seasons. They've both won everywhere, all over the globe. But when it comes to them playing head-to-head recently, Carlos has had the edge.
Going into this match, Carlos had won 7 of their last 8 matches. Could have been 8 of the last 9. Jannik needed this more than Carlos. And I know this is so early into what will probably be a long rivalry.
We don't know that. We do not know
We don't know that. But at this stage, Jannik probably needed this to stop some of Carlos's momentum in this rivalry. Jannik is dominating pretty much everywhere else, dominating most players on tour. Carlos has more losses to people that he technically shouldn't be losing to, right? Jannik is more consistent overall, but Carlos is the bugaboo.
Carlos is more human when it comes to playing on tour week to week. You're allowed to have a hiccup. That's human behavior.
Yes.
Jannik has been supremely efficient in these tennis streets.
Mm-hmm. The final was fine. You know, I feel like I am the asshole here, right? I was watching the match, and yeah, it was fine. But then I go on social media, and apparently it's amazing. And I was just like, I'm not really feeling it, if I'm being honest. The quality was very high at points. Mm-hmm. The first set tiebreak, exciting. Carlos had chances throughout the first set. He had a set point. Jannik hit 2 just perfect lobs over Carlos's head at the net to snap that first set. The second, I felt, was really inhibited by Carlos's apparent injury.
Mm-hmm. Well, it didn't necessarily feel like that in the moment. In the moment, it felt like Carlos was making really bad choices.
It did.
And where that becomes hard, it can be difficult to tell whether Carlos is hindered by something or if a dip in play has something to do with other factors. Because Carlos often has moments where he just doesn't play to his best, and it has nothing to do with anything else.
Right.
He'll string together a few points where he's making crazy decisions on court, and you're just wondering, why are you doing this? That kind of felt like some of the issue in the second set. But then when you look back at it, and toward the end of the match, you realize he really was physically hampered. Because there's no other explanation for how many failed attempts he made to the net in that second set.
Right. And when you look at the stats, it wasn't as bad as it felt in the moment. According to the stats, I think there were only 15 net points for Carlos. It just felt like his decision-making sort of broke down after he got treatment on that leg. We found out that it had been an issue starting in the semifinal. We now know that he got an MRI. There's a hamstring strain, according to Marca. Another source said it was muscle edema, which means swelling. If you're not able to run like you normally could, or dig in at the baseline, you're not going to keep up with Jannik in ground stroke rallies. So I think he was a little bit desperate, rushed the net a lot, made some poor choices, got lobbed, got passed. Jannik's drop shot was even working, which is something he's been working on ever since the loss a mere 2 months ago in New York.
Carlos's volleying wasn't that great either.
Right.
It's not like he came to net and was passed all the time, or finding himself in impossible situations. Sometimes he just didn't get the job done at net either.
So overall, there were a lot of great moments, right? There was a lot of quality in this final. For some reason, it wasn't really gripping me, I think because there was so little momentum.
Well, because Carlos didn't win. That's also why it didn't grip you.
Sure.
My God. A lot of folks seem to be fatigued by this duopoly atop the ATP Tour, and quite frankly, aren't here for this matchup anymore.
Who?
I'm not trying to present a straw man here, but I saw a lot of people online saying, oh my God, not this again.
It's fine. I mean, the New York Times does it. Critics say.
Where are you on this?
Where I am is that the tennis season is over and I need a break. I'm not looking at things with clear eyes, and I know that. I think the rivalry is fine, right? Watching these guys in finals is fine, and they produce a lot of really exciting matches. It's everything else. It's numbers 3 through 1,000.
Mm-hmm. For me, it's not the matchup per se, it's how it's talked about. This was not a classic. This was not an amazing match. It was fine, as you said. It was good. It was great in spots. But we don't have to use hyperbole for everything when it comes to these two. There's this constant push now to elevate them above what the big three did.
Right.
And there's no way to know whether that's going to happen until numbers have been passed, until many years have been played. Why can't we just be in the moment with this?
Right. Why are we asking Carlos, are you better than peak Federer? And he says, no, I don't think so. What is he supposed to say? Yes? Or fans saying, if Jannik wins this, he's had a better career. I'm ready to rate him higher than Roger. Be so serious.
Carlos has won 6 slams. You keep asking him these questions, he may just get sick and tired of your asses and retire. And just be done with it.
Or one day say, yeah, I'm the GOAT. I don't care what kind of numbers I have. I'm the GOAT already. Is that what you want?
One of them could get injured. They both could get injured. The game could develop and pass them by. Ridiculous to think that could happen, but so many number of things could happen to these 22, 23-year-olds to have them not fulfill the destinies that have been drawn up for them after just 2 years of supreme play. You need over a decade, sometimes 2 decades of supreme play to get to where people are trying to place them. It's too much.
And a lot of suffering, a lot of valleys, a lot of peaks.
Do we forget the suffering that the GOATs went through?
Right.
Every single one of them. That's partly why I was so relieved when so many of them retired.
Right.
Like, it's taxing for me as a viewer, but I can't imagine what it's like for them to actually have to live with it. Mm-hmm. The cumulative years of tennis play that Rafa lost due to injury. Federer was largely untouched by that until the end of his career.
And then it hits hard.
And then it hit hard. Novak has been able to ward off calamity physically for the most part, but you still see the decline. You still see what he's going through in real time now as a 37-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and you know how frustrating it must be for him because he thinks, I'm still probably the best tennis player. My body just won't let me be. I think the Big 3 and Big 4 era really broke tennis analysis in a lot of ways, and I think a lot of us need to shake our heads and remember that was a period of unprecedented tennis. To expect 2 or 3 people to achieve at that level at the same time again, it's just not fair, and I don't even know that I would want to see it again.
You can't even accurately compare Federer, Djokovic, and Nadal amongst the 3 of them. You can't even do that. You can't even pin that down, let alone comparing people from eras bygone or now these two in the future.
Right.
It's even more impossible. So let's just let it rest. Let's move on. I will say that in this match, I was shocked by just how many mishits Jannik had. Both players didn't seem to be finding the middle of the racket as often as we tend to see from them. But Jannik, I felt, especially in that second set, had a lot of mishits off the forehand.
Yes, I think he's worked a lot to improve his serve. He's been working on his variety. We saw to me, the lobs were more impressive than anything. More impressive than these drop shots that he's been practicing. Jannik was not perfect. And for a lot of this match, there was really not much separating them until it became apparent late in the second set.
Carlos went up a break in the second set right away, in part due to Jannik just gifting double faults.
That was a really surprising thing, and of course Jannik turned it around pretty quickly. The home court advantage in the ATP Finals, yes, it is annoying, but also there are 4 slam countries that get home court advantage for their players every year for the past more than a century. So we can't really complain that much, but yes, the crowd to me was very annoying, but I have to put myself in the position of, like, if the crowd were supporting my fave, would I have been annoyed? No.
Of course, we talked about in a previous episode that Jannik got all this flack for opting out of playing Davis Cup, and Carlos was scheduled to play. However, according to Marca, he's dealing with that hamstring strain, and he'll take today and tomorrow off to decide whether or not he'll play Davis Cup on Wednesday.
It was tough to see Carlos's condition in the final, especially because of how locked in he was against Felix in the semifinals, winning 6-2, 6-4. Carlos broke Felix in his second service game, broke again in that first set for good measure, 6-2. Felix managed to keep it tight in the second, but Carlos generated match points on Felix's serve, finished the match in pretty straightforward fashion. Felix played well. The forehand is really working for him, and it's won him a lot of matches recently. But something that was quite telling was looking at their backhand rallies. So even when Felix is keeping up, when the backhand is staying in, the difference in speed is pretty noticeable. And so that puts him on the back foot quite a bit. Or it sets him up to just get stranded in the backcourt and lose to a drop shot.
Regardless, it's been a stunning turnaround for Felix, considering where he was up until the US Open. Honestly, this is somebody who finished last year, I believe, 29th, and now he's gonna finish number 5, a career high, and a stone's throw from Djokovic at number 4.
The other semi, of course, was Sinner versus Minaur. Alex doing great to reach the semis, losing 7-5, 6-2 to Sinner, improving their head-to-head to 13-0. Did not realize that.
Typically, people say 13-0.
Well, 0 is a synonym for O.
Okay.
Like I care. In the group stages, both Carlos and Jannik, of course, went undefeated. In Sinner's group, that guy and Felix were battling for the second semi spot. It came down to that final match. I watched this while I was working on Friday afternoon. It was not good from that guy. It was really... I don't watch his matches. Is this what they're like when he's losing?
Well, the common thread is that he is unable to meet the moment. And he often chokes, and he's terrible at net.
Well, I knew that. This game at 6-4, 3-2, long game, Zverev is serving. It was simply a shit show of nerves. His feet looked leaden, a few botched overheads, a few botched volleys. It just went on and on and on. The commentators were ripping him apart, I will tell you. Zverev ended up holding, and Felix really should have broken. So there was a little bit of blame to go around, right? In that second set, Zverev was giving Felix every opportunity just to get it over with. And of course he eventually did. But it was just, it was not fun viewing. Unless you don't like him, and it was sort of fun.
So then it was fun viewing. I don't know where you're going with that. Trying to maintain some impartiality. Back to Minaur though, this is... I kind of feel for him because he is somebody who works very hard, clearly, and goes to the moon and back on court, will run for days, but just doesn't seem to have that extra gear, that extra something to beat the top guys. He's gotten himself to a point in his career where he is basically a lock to make the quarterfinals at Slams. He's made the quarterfinals at 5 of the last 7, unable to move past the quarterfinals in all of those matches, losing at the quarterfinal round. But that kind of ceiling, you see it here again. Like, he made the semifinals, but that's only because the other two guys, he had the best of 3 records of the 3 men trying to qualify for the semifinals at 1 and 2.
Yeah, I mean, you're really going to the microscope here. Fritz, Musetti, and de Minaur all finished the group stage 1 and 2.
Truly, this is where Taylor Fritz should have come through, but he has been injured for a while.
Yeah, Musetti is out in the 3-way tie because he lost more sets. So then typically we would go down to percentage of games won, but de Minaur beat Fritz in their head-to-head, and that ended up being the decider. But every era needs Alex. You know, like, they exist in every era. Those players that can't break through from the quarterfinals or may occasionally make a semi, but you can rely on them to lose to the top guys.
That was Rublev. The most recent comparison for me would be Rublev.
And honestly, Alex is a notch below him. You know, Rublev has more big titles, more notable wins over big players.
I was going to say he reminds me a bit of David Ferrer, but Ferrer made a final,
but again,
a French Open final.
A much better career. And de Minaur certainly has time to have a great career. But, I mean, I don't really feel that bad. Like, this is just the ecosystem.
Carlos gets the year in number 1. He's 550 points ahead of Sinner. They're at the top of the hill, and then they pull out their binoculars and they look over the precipice. And way below is that guy at 5,160 points, followed by Djokovic, 48.30, and Felix with 42.25. Felix's run toward the back end of the year actually pushes Fritz down to number 6.
Comparing to the WTA, they have 6 players with more than 5,000 points. The ATP has only 3. And also, everyone in the WTA top 10 has at least won a title this year. Most of them have won a 1,000 title or higher.
The 10 Masters titles were actually shared amongst 7 women. We mentioned the dressing up for the photo shoots at the start of the year-end championships, right? Mm-hmm. On the last episode, we talked about the women's pictures, and we briefly talked about the men, because truthfully, we didn't really see that many pictures. I came across quite a few on TikTok afterward, and it seemed to me, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed to me that they were all wearing the variation of 2 suits.
They were similar. It was actually a GQ Italia photo shoot, and unfortunately there were only 6 of them there. Felix and Musetti were not included in the photo shoot, which I always find very rude when, you know, it's a scheduling issue. These players were qualifying at the last minute, but still, you can't wait just a little while to do the photo shoot.
Probably not.
Okay. Well,
probably not.
You know?
If you wait too long, like, you're interrupting people's practice and all this other stuff, you know? There's only a few days before a tournament starts where this stuff can be done.
And in the official records, when you go through all the photos, those guys won't be there. Through no fault of their own.
Okay. Maybe they can be photoshopped in afterward.
No, they'll probably use generative AI and have like a cartoon picture of these guys in there. That's what tennis is into lately.
I thought Carlos looked really good in his double-breasted suit.
Yep. The only one in double-breasted. They were all told to wear jackets, a white dress shirt, no tie. That guy wore blue pinstripes. Carlos wore double-breasted. Jannik was in Gucci, of course. Men's fashion is fairly conservative. It's, you know, they are not typically thinking outside of the box.
You mean nobody showed up with a harness underneath the jacket, bare-chested?
Right. No, not even the Chalamet. What I do want to mention is Carlos's streetwear looks. So Nike fits him for what he's wearing when he comes to the site. Have you seen this? Like, if they show him in the tunnel, getting out of his car or whatever. And I swear he is always wearing a snowsuit. The young kids these days, they're really into very, very wide leg jeans. which the alternative kids used to wear in the late 90s when we were young.
It's bad for the environment. Why is there so much fabric? It's a waste. It's a waste of fabric. I don't understand it.
So yesterday, Nike had him in this puffy jacket thing and this puffy pants that they looked like a snowsuit. It really reminds me of Missy Elliott in the I Can't Stand the Rain video. Remember the garbage bag?
Super duper fly.
Mm-hmm. It's just so funny to me. Like, I'm so out of touch with what young people are into.
You have here as an aside that Casper is so stupid handsome that he still looks good with the buzz cut. And that was a direct quote. And I have to disagree with you.
Oh, really?
Because I think it looks terrible.
It wouldn't be my first choice, but he's so good looking that he still looks good.
He looks like Sam Smith.
Oh my god, that is not the case.
I'm telling
not
you from
Sam Smith tennis, Sam Smith music.
Yeah, and I don't know. It added it like 20 pounds to him. I feel
right, but he would look good with 20 more pounds.
That's not why he doesn't look good with it. To me, it just doesn't look good. Period.
Well, that's fine.
Like you have all that hair, and you go do that.
Great hair too. I think we can both agree on this one.
I disagree.
Carlos is, as you know, I was very open to the buzz cut when it was debuted at the US Open. This now, with the top grown out a little bit, the sides shaved, the two-tone, there's a black patch in the back of his head by accident because his hair grows so fast. It is horrible. It looks so bad. It looks like a little hedgehog with a bowl cut.
It doesn't bother me that much.
That's fine.
To be honest.
It doesn't have to.
Remember I told you that Novak was going to be on Piers Morgan on the last episode?
Yes.
So he's been in the news quite a bit recently, and his comments on Sinner's doping suspension set off a whole sequence of events. What did Novak say? Start there.
Yeah. And it's not the first time he's said stuff like this. Piers Morgan asked a very leading question. He asked, is there a cloud following Jannik Sinner after the positive doping test? Well, how do you answer that? You address the cloud. So the cloud wasn't actually Novak's words, to be clear. He said, quote, that cloud will follow him as the cloud of COVID will follow me. Let's not even go where the interview started, by the way, was an apology by Piers. Said, I want to clear the air. He said, I've said some really unkind and censorious. This dude is so pretentious. Censorious? Anyway, he apologized to Novak for being mean to him during the COVID saga because he was a big believer in vaccines. Believe it or not. And Novak graciously accepted the apology. This Piers is such a simping interviewer. It was very difficult to watch. And then later on he said, I only interview goats. And Novak looked extremely uncomfortable. Anyway, so about the doping thing. Novak said, when this happened, I was shocked, honestly. I do think that he didn't do it on purpose, but the way the whole case was handled is so many red flags. And Novak went on and on, complimenting Jannik personally, saying he's known him since he was young, and Jannik was at Piatti's academy, and Novak has always admired the way, he just goes about his business. And he said, quote, I think he's handling it very well, very maturely, very steadily, and in the midst of all that, he's still dominating. Now here is where it gets a little bit contentious for people.
Novak goes on to say, clarifying what he meant by so many red flags, quote, the lack of transparency, the inconsistency, the convenience of the ban coming between the slams so he doesn't miss out. It was very, very odd. I really don't like how the case was handled. It's like he was listening to our show.
It's not an original thought that we had. A lot of people were saying this at the time. The timing of the ban was super convenient. He missed 3 months of the season and still finished a very close number 2, won 2 slams.
Now here comes Darren Cahill. This man had, 10 days left in his coaching tenure with Jannik Sinner? Could have just collected those checks, cashed those checks, and moved on. But here he comes to cape for Jannik on Instagram, Thursday, November 13th. He writes, opinion is really the lowest form of human knowledge. It requires no accountability, no understanding. The highest form of knowledge is empathy, for it requires us to suspend our egos and live in another's world. Were these his words, or
No,
is one of those things he found and like posted?
It was like an inspirational quote. I forgot who it was quoting. Someone I wasn't familiar with.
And this isn't about anything specific, right? He just woke up one day and saw it and was like, wow, this seems
Right.
like a really good thing to post for November 13th.
This is a subtweet. I don't know if you still call it a subtweet if it's on Insta.
It's a sub-story.
No, but subtweet, you know what it means, right? You know the connotation. It's free of context, but you know it's in response to something that recently happened. Clearly, this is about Novak speaking his mind on Piers Morgan. I will say that this critique of opinion is also an opinion in itself, right? Just because you say opinion is a low form of human knowledge, that doesn't mean that's not also your opinion. This isn't scientific. And no shade. And this is not ageist, but this is a 60-year-old man posting subtweets on Instagram. And it felt very high school to me.
I guarantee you high school students are not doing this. They've evolved past
So this is
this
actually
kind of stuff.
an older person behavior.
At this point,
It,
yeah.
it just, to me, it felt very immature and it felt below who Darren is, right? And I'm sure Darren feels very protective. We've explained those cases in great, great detail and have never accused anyone of anything, right? And to be clear, Novak has not accused Jannik, even going out of his way to say, I don't think he's guilty. I don't think he did this on purpose. It's the way the procedure
Was delivered, how it was carried out.
how it was handled. And he has a very valid point here. The point is, if Jannik weren't Jannik, if he didn't have money and connections at his disposal, the case most likely would have gone quite differently. Again, that's not saying that he's guilty. It's saying that privilege buys you a lot of leeway in the system.
And what always rubbed me the wrong way, it's what rubbed me the wrong way with the Simona case. And Darren was front and center in both situations, just droning on about how these two people are of the utmost highest character and beyond reproach. And it is unfathomable, unthinkable, impossible that they could have done anything like this. And therefore, we need to lean into that and lead with that and forego all scrutiny of the cases and questioning of what was fair, unfair, anything that was a red flag about those cases.
Right.
That's been his contribution to anti-doping in tennis in the last few years, being the mouthpiece for his charges, going to bat for them in court, on social media, on TV, leveraging his actual well-respected persona and character,
Hard-earned.
and using that for them.
Simona wasn't working with Darren when the doping test happened, which to me made the kind of character witness thing even more risky, because once Simona left his team, or once he left Simona's team, you don't actually know what's going on, right? You don't know what's happening on someone else's team. So for him to speak was, I guess, surprising. Not to speak in general, but to speak so much and so confidently. That's what was surprising to me. And here, I just want to tell him, like, why just take a beat? This is not that serious. It's not different than what Novak has said in the past. You are winning. Like, this is punching up at this point, which is crazy to think. But you are winning. You have a player who's won 2 slams this year, just won the finals. Just let it go.
The point is, nobody's going to remember this. People already don't remember it. People are out here talking about, oh, Jannik and Carlos, who had the better year. Well, if Jannik didn't miss those weeks in the spring, then, well, why did he miss those weeks?
Why did he miss them?
Say it.
Right.
Do you remember it? I feel like a lot of people don't remember at this point.
Well,
and by next year and the year after, all that's going to remain of this is a Wikipedia entry. If it still exists by then.
Yeah, I think Piers saying the thing about the cloud, I don't actually think there's a dark cloud following him.
No.
I think Italians are more pissed off that he's missing Davis Cup. And again, the point is, what people want from the doping system or anti-doping system is procedural fairness. They want to know, if this happens to me, will I be treated fairly? Will I be treated the same as the number 1 player? Will I be able to defend myself? And with anti-doping, perception is really, really important. So even if they followed the rules to the letter of the law, the perception of the system is integral for it actually working.
I don't think I've ever heard you pronounce that word before. Integral?
Or integral. It's either way.
Well, I'm just saying, I only know it as integral, and I'm pretty sure I only know you as saying integral, but it came out different just now.
Well, trying new things.
We're at the part of the season where doubles pairings, they break up, and new people get matched together. They come together in holy doubles matrimony for the following season. One of the big surprises so far is that Gabby Dabrowski and Erin Routliffe are splitting after winning 3 titles in 2025, including the US Open.
Yeah, this one was a big surprise to me, given their success together. Apparently, Erin is really close friends with Asia Mohammed and has been wanting to play with her, so they will be in 2026. I guess Dabrowski is on the market. She is one of the many Canadian success stories this year. Just a really great season in doubles.
Per Hanlon Walsh, Jessica Pegula will start playing with McCartney Kessler, keeping it American. Ellen Perez, who is she going to be paired up with?
She will be linking with Asia's former partner, Demi Schuurs.
Mind you, back to the WTA photo thing for the year-end championships. Did you see the doubles players?
No.
You had everybody decked out in their gowns and whatnot, and there's Demi in her pantsuit. It was amazing. This is what I would like to see going forward. Some gender bending on both the men and women's tours.
Oh, on the men's side too. Yeah. Well, you'll be waiting quite a long time. There's currently no Harry Styles on the ATP.
Let's think outside the box. I mean, granted, this is Demi's aesthetic. This is not something new.
She wears shorts on the court as well.
But I would love to see Coco in a suit.
Yes, and she'd kill it. Aryna Sabalenka was, speaking of suits and kits and everything, she told the press in Riyadh that next year with Nike is not going to be great. That she said, unfortunately, next season it's not going to be that special for me.
She was asked about her current kit and whatnot and complimented on it. And she said, oh yeah, fans really seem to love it. I worked with Nike on it and we came up with this. But unfortunately, you won't see anything new next year. It's just going to be trash. You won't see anything new until 2027.
She said 27 will be sick. Mm-hmm. But next year, and I've seen folks reporting this as she will have no custom kits next year. And I guess my question is, did she have custom kits this year? Like, what was the extent of her contract with Nike? I know that Naomi does. That's clear. But I feel like we saw at Slams other women wearing the same dresses that Aryna was wearing. Am I wrong?
I don't know. I mean, to me, Aryna's been wearing the same dress in a different color for 5 years. Like, the silhouette is giving the same to me no matter what it is. It works for her. She looks good in it. But she hasn't reinvented any wheel, fashion-wise, on the tennis court.
No, but part of that is, like, you're stuck with Nike, a company that has invested less and less and less in tennis. I believe they're trying to make it quite clear that they don't care. What are they doing for tennis?
I think they're making it quite clear that they don't care about her.
They don't care about tennis, period.
If they had a Coco Gauff in their stable, they would not be doing this to her.
Well, no, but that's an exception to the rule. I mean, there was a time in women's tennis that there were actually a number of women who were wearing custom kits, right?
I'm leading you to the water here. Mm-hmm. Please drink. What I'm saying is...
I'm trying to be fair.
No, but what I'm saying is they have the number one tennis player in the world, start to finish 2025, has been number one for quite a while, is at championship weekend. Every slam, she brings it to every ball. Mm-hmm. This is not a new thing. And you're paying her dust.
Yeah, they're not putting in the effort with her. It's a message.
Period. They've decided, clearly, we're not investing in you. And so when I see her win the US Open and do every press stop available to her, mm-hmm. She did all the nighttime circuit and was probably like, is somebody else filming in the next studio lot? Can I go there? Right. She's trying to get her image and her name out in this market as much as possible.
Yeah, she wants it bad. The thing is, I think her home country is a deterrent for a lot of brands. And I don't know. Like, I think a lot of brands think she doesn't have what someone like Coco has or Naomi has. They're not willing to make the same investment in Aryna. And when she left IMG, she complained very publicly about the things she felt they weren't doing for her. And now she's with Evolve, which is co-owned by Naomi and Stuart. And what do they have her doing? They've got her playing in a battle of sexes with one of their semi-retired other clients, Nick Kyrgios. You know, why is she promoting that on her social media? Like, you look stupid. I'm sorry. Like, it looks dumb. And so Evolve has done, I think they've done a lot for her in the social space, right? Like, she did like a web series kind of thing. I feel like her visibility is up. But other than that, I don't know what they're doing.
We're also at the time of year where all the tennis players go to the Maldives. Mm-hmm. I did some looking into it, and it's if you're top 50, you've been to the Maldives. It's wild. Why is this the go-to destination?
It seems like a pretty unique place. Unfortunately, I won't be going because being gay is illegal there, and because I could never afford it. That's actually the number one reason.
It is a country in South Asia located in the Eastern Arabian Sea within the Northern Indian Ocean. It is southwest of Sri Lanka and India, and about 750 kilometers from the Asian continent's mainland.
Okay, thank you for that. Geography.
I read somewhere that people credit Serena with this influx of people going to Maldives.
Really?
That she went in 2019 or something like that, and after that everybody decided to go.
Oh.
The timeline on that is
I thought
probably...
they were going long before that.
The timeline on that is probably very wrong. Don't quote me on that, but somebody said that. Other people speculate that it may be a push from the tourism boards of the Maldives to get tennis players there, probably free of charge.
Yeah.
And get them to post about it on social media. And that's why it's metastasized within the community.
That's a very malignant choice of words.
It got the message across, I'm sure. Vacationing this past week were Naomi Osaka and Taylor Townsend. Did you know that they were besties?
I don't know if they're besties. I didn't know they were friends.
Well, friends enough to be on a yacht together, to be riding jet skis side by side in open water. I'm going to guess that this is probably like Bahamas.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have no reason for saying that. I just feel like it's in Bahamas.
Okay. They were doing the what's up bees in the trap thing trend. I really hate that song.
Okay.
What's going on?
Marvin Gaye?
No, What's Up by Four Non-Blondes.
No.
Linda Perry.
Get real high now. What's going on?
That one.
Okay.
They mashed it up with Bees in the Trap by Nicki Minaj. Nicki, who apparently has been approached by the Trump administration to do some PR.
She has...
Talk about going off the rails.
She is gone. Gone. Her and Deborah Messing are on a raft somewhere.
Cannot be saved.
I would say we are fairly known for talking about politics as it relates to sport. Here we're just going to talk about a little bit of politics.
Okay.
This past week was a very bad week for churches in the United States. If you're on any kind of social media, you probably would have seen this woman who did this bit whereby she called something like 30 different churches in the US and pretended to be a mother who was down on her luck, who had no money, who just wanted one can of baby formula to be able to feed her kid that night. That's all she was asking for.
And you can hear a baby crying in the background of the phone calls.
Yeah. And all but maybe 4 or 5 of them turned her away and said that they could not help her, that she was not part of their constituency. Is that the right word? That she wasn't...
Congregation?
She wasn't part of...
Wow, it's been a while for you.
She wasn't part of the congregation, so therefore they couldn't help.
Or we don't have any formula around. Actually, some of the only institutions that said yes were Islamic centers, Catholic churches, and I think there was a United Church of Christ, which isn't surprising at all.
And so this dovetails with our last episode where I think at the start I had said I couldn't grasp truly what $1 billion was. Just like I couldn't grasp what 400 episodes was. The number was just too big. And, you know, if I had that money, if I had unlimited funds, which is what that is.
Right.
If you're a billionaire, you can set aside 500 million and let that regenerate wealth. Serious stinking wealth for the rest of your life. And you can use the rest of that 500 million and the interest that you accrue to just make people's lives easier. Instead, what these billionaires do by and large is work in the opposite direction. They actively work to make your lives more difficult. It is a true stain on humanity.
I think for a lot of people, the math they just don't get how big a billion is. As you were saying on the last episode, it's not like a little more than a millionaire. A billion is 1,000 millions. Think about that. You know, with multiplication, it gets bigger. And billionaires have ways that I don't actually understand. And I've watched a lot of videos on this, but I still don't really get it, about how most of their wealth is in investments. They're not making a huge income, like on a paycheck, like, you know, regular people, even if they start earning a huge income because of a job, you're not going to achieve that sort of wealth, that sort of exponential wealth, because you're paying taxes on your income. This money is in investments. They're not paying capital gains. They're leveraging it for more debt to protect it from being taxed. Like, it's very sophisticated.
Right. But say you are just a baby billionaire. You only have $5 billion.
Like Rihanna?
Right. Okay, say you have...
You're worth $1 billion.
Say you're worth 50 billion, right? You keep 45 of those billions tied up in all those things that you just said. You have 5 billion liquid. You have 10% of your net worth liquid. You put that into a conservative account. Well, these are the types of savings accounts that poor people get, where you get 1% on...
Oh, if you're lucky.
Right? You get 1% return. So $5 billion at 1% for the year, you're making $50 million in interest. That's $4.16 million a month. I mean, it's a calculator away to be able to really see just how insidious and sick this all is.
The thing is, they don't want to. And I think having that much money really, it does something to a person. And we have centuries, millennia of literature and films about this, about what extreme wealth hoarding does to the human brain.
And so we have this social media experiment that we see carried out. The churches take their hits, deservedly so, tax them. Because if you're not helping out people in these really small, granular instances and ways, what are you doing?
Why are we tax exempt?
Why do you exist? It's tethered, though, to the United States healthcare system. And this is what the goal of what I want to talk about here, in that just as how folks don't have a grasp on what $1 billion is, Americans and Canadians alike don't really understand what they're dealing with their respective healthcare systems. As somebody who's lived in both countries, who's had to have procedures or just medical stuff done in both countries, I kind of understand it more than others, I feel. Okay. I'm not an expert, but in college, it was fall break my junior year. All of a sudden, here comes a kidney stone.
You didn't even know what it was.
I didn't even know what it was. 2 hours at the ER, I got an x-ray and some oxy. $3,000. And if I didn't have university mandated healthcare as an international student, if that wasn't built into my tuition, and also still being on my mother's health insurance, then it would have been a huge problem. Like, the school insurance itself didn't cover the whole thing.
Right.
And so there's this myth of good insurance in the US. Good insurance will still leave you thousands of dollars out of pocket for the most benign things.
It can. Or you can get a pharmacy calling you and saying, I was just on the phone with your insurance company. They're not going to cover it. But we don't know why.
Want to have a baby? Here's a $90,000 bill. And so Americans don't grasp that if you are pregnant and having children, you don't pay for anything other than the parking spot. That's it.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. That's with public insurance, right?
Right.
That's without buying a private plan.
Is it perfect? Absolutely not. You have to do your own kind of workaround, shop around for certain things to get them done in a timely manner. A dermatologist in Canada, forget about it.
You're not going to find one. But now people are telling me they can't find one in the US either.
That's what I'm hearing as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so people have bought in so hook, line, and sinker in the US, you know, this personal freedom thing where I should be able to do this. I should be able to get... Well, 1% of you can do that. What are the rest of you going to be able to do?
You're free to shop around with a bunch of shitty options.
You're free to live in poverty. This whole ACA thing that's happening right now with the subsidies, people are having their premiums raised to be higher than their salaries.
Yeah.
It's unsustainable, and why do people stand for it? Like, it makes no sense. In Canada, the flip of that, I have lots of people try and talk to me at work who don't understand just how bad it is. Canadians tend to not really understand how it works either.
Or what we have. You know,
Right, they don't appreciate what they have.
like the fact that without insurance, you can go to the doctor, they order an X-ray, MRI, CAT scan, whatever, and you can actually go somewhere and get it done the same day without an appointment.
Done that.
Right? An ultrasound, okay, go next door. They don't take appointments. They'll see you in 10 minutes. Like, that is actually a very common experience.
You may need an MRI,
You may need to wait for that.
or you can say, hey, I'll come in at 2 a.m. and you can get in within a week.
I will tell you, like, when I was seriously injured a few years ago during COVID, I had to get an urgent MRI and they fit me in. They're like, are you willing to travel? It was still within the city of Toronto. It just wasn't near my house, you know? And if you're in Toronto, there is an emergency room that has very short wait times. And I'll tell you in DMs if you reach out. But I don't want to blow up their spot.
Is it the one I've been to?
Yes, the one we've both been to. I actually think a lot of Americans have not drunk the Kool-Aid, though. Like, I think a lot of Americans realize this doesn't work. This is not working. I'm paying too much. And for what?
Well, they know that part,
Yeah.
but then they've also bought into the boogeyman of Canadian socialized medicine.
Well, there's a lot of propaganda out there about, you know,
They've bought into it,
single-payer
and they
healthcare.
haven't taken the time to really look into what it actually means. I have a friend who is an ER doctor whose husband messaged me on Facebook a few years ago to ask about Canadian healthcare. To like try and understand what it was. Is it really as bad as they say? No, it's not. It really is not.
Now, that being said, we currently have a premier in Ontario. That's kind of like a governor of your state. Doug Ford, who is the brother of our crackhead mayor, Rob Ford. May he rest in peace.
He had more than enough to eat at home.
Yeah. Now, if it gives you any perspective, Doug was considered the uncharismatic one of the two. So that's where we are at the moment. Doug has been trying his best to undermine and erode our public health care so they would have an excuse to bring in private options, right? To make it as shitty as possible so people would turn against it. So this is in process. Like, we desperately need to vote this person out. He keeps winning as premier.
It's been a slow creep toward privatization of Ontario's healthcare. And that would make quality of living here just unbearable.
Well, because you can't afford to buy a home. If you add in not affording healthcare, at that point, what is the point of living here? I don't really know how we got on the topic of healthcare.
It was a bit of a tangent. I think I saw that whole social media thing going down and I just wanted to find a way to talk about it. I hope it hasn't been too tangential. This brings us to the end of the episode. We are going to be launching our next GoFundMe on the next episode, which will be our WTA year-end wrap. We're going to be soliciting responses from folks on Blue Sky and Instagram, as we always do, stuff like what was your favorite moment of the year, what is the stuff that you remember, the funniest moment kind of thing. So look out for that. We'll try and incorporate that into the year-end wrap shows for both the men and the women.
Yeah, so we have season wraps coming up. We have some off-season content that we're prepping, you know, the one that we keep delaying, but it doesn't make sense now because we have to at least wrap the seasons. This illness that went around kind of messed up our scheduling.
Mm-hmm. But you're talking about the Hot Boy
Yeah,
episode.
so we will have kind of off-season content to the extent that there is an off-season at all.
My name is Jonathan. You can find me on Blue Sky at Tennis John.
I'm James at ElliotJMR.
2 L's, 2 T's. Everything BodyServe related can be found at linktree.com/thebodyserve. Thanks for listening.
Till next time.
Thank you very much.